I'm Lee Holroyd, and this is going to focus on building a Noughts and Crosses development in C++. There's going to be around 9 videos. It seems a lot, but we're going to keep them dead short and dead to the point. The first one's going to look at adding the include files, adding the overall functions and setting up the structure, and then each one after that is going to focus on an individual function. And that way, if you need to recap on a certain area, you can flick back. So I'm going to focus on setting up the structure in this video, and we're going to use Visual Studio's 2017 to do that. So if you all want to open that on your PCs, if you're not going to open already, just flick the screen over. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is go to New, Project, and then we're going to use C++ and empty project to do this. Okay, and we're going to call it Noughts and Crosses, like that. And then if you go to browse here, generally it saves it directly to repos. We just want to create a folder to do it in. So I'm going to do it on my desktop. I'm just going to create a folder called Noughts and Crosses. And then inside this, select folder, and I'm going to create Noughts and Crosses like that. You can call it whatever you want, but as long as it's something you can remember. Just give it a second to open. Okay, so this is a screen you'll encounter when you load up. You can move these bars around, by the way. If you would like it different places, you can just move it around and drop it into different places. And if you see these little things here, you can just drop it onto that. So we'll just have it there. For now, I'll just get rid of, I don't really need that one. I just need the error list. Okay, so on the right hand side here in the Solutions Explorer, if we go to Source, right click, go to Add, New Item, and then we just want to create a C++ file or a .cpp file, and we're just going to call it main. Okay, so lowercase main, add, no spaces. So now you'll see on the right side we've got our main CPP file that we're going to work from, and then around here we've got different stuff. Okay, so let's add some include files. The first one is include stdio.h, and what this does in essence is it's a C standard input and output library, so this basically gives us loads of possible keywords and operations that we can use for input and output. Next one we're going to add is tchar. And what this does is it relates to the character set you're building the application in, such as Unicode and ANSI. It basically defines how it's like the language of the C++ we're going to use. Some of the syntax is slightly different how we set it up. Okay. The third one is include string. This is dead simple. It allows us to add text or add strings. Then we've got include conio.h. And this basically allows us to use a text user interface in DOS, so we can have console input and output. So basically we can type into it and then we can add out, and it allows us to use different things, but it allows us to use that framework, if you will. Then we've got include iOS stream. And you see how I've not put them lower and higher than singles. If you don't, it's a different color, so you'll see it doesn't show up. So iOS stream, basically it allows us, this is the input output stream library, it allows us to use the keywords syn and cout commands. And finally, using namespace std. Okay, so using namespace just means we're going to use the standard C++ library. The standard, so obviously C++ is universal, so what this is doing is it's saying all the keywords and stuff, we're going to stick to that standard, and then it allows any PC to run it, and it allows everyone to work together. Okay, so they're the basic include files and the overall standard we're going to use. Generally you'll find that in most programs we begin with. Okay, there's hundreds and hundreds of include files we can load. All these basically are, it's like going to a library, a real library, and taking a book off the shelf. So each one of these is a book, and it has a list of different information within it that it allows us to use. So all the programming stuff we're going to do now comes from these different libraries and different standards that we've set up at the start, so it knows where to go and look for whatever keyword. So if we're using the keyword sin as an operator, then it'll go up to here, work out where it is, and it'll understand what to do with it. So now we've just declared what the libraries are and we've declared what standard we're going to use. We need to set up some function prototypes or some forward declarations. What these basically are is they set up what functions are going to be within the project themselves, and some of them take an input and then some don't. Okay, so we're going to add comments as we go along just so we can refer back to it. So these are function prototypes or forward declaration. That's not spelled right. Declaration. Okay, so we can do that by putting // like that, or up here we've got two little symbols here. So we've got an uncomment button. We can uncomment stuff. You'll see it goes white. It's now trying to read this as a programming language, so it won't work. Or we can highlight it and just comment it like that, and it will comment out. Okay. So we're going to include a few different ones. So we're going to. The first one is display grid. I'll go through them all in a second. Second one is display input. Make sure you're using the right sort of brackets at the end. Third one is fill square. And this is the only one that's going to take in the value. Or it's going to allow for a certain value. Then we've got check input. And then we've got check status, and finally we've got check initialize, or we'll just call it init. Okay, so these are the different functions that we're going to have. So display input, display grid is going to display Noughts and Crosses grid to the screen. Display input is going to display how we import to the screen, so it's going to give us a list of stuff we can click. Fill square is going to check the squares that are available to see if we can fill that, and then fill it if we can. Check input is going to check what we type on the keyboard to make sure it's a valid input. Check status is going to be kind of the logic of Noughts and Crosses. It's going to check if we've got a winner, someone drawing, or we've got a different character that's not allowed to be inputted. So say well, we're going to use Q, W, E, A, S, D, Z, X, C, so like the left side of the keyboard. If we type in K, then it'll check within that to make sure it's fine. And then finally we've got void init, so we've got initialize. So this is going to be the function that basically says at the start of the game it resets everything to how we want it, or when we get to the end of the game it resets it and allows us to do like fail and quit and retry and that sort of stuff. Okay, you'll notice when we do this, each one of these is underlined green. If you hover over it, it'll just say the function declaration is not found. That's because we've not created it yet, so don't worry about that. Okay. One thing I've done wrong, which I just noticed, is I've not put a capital. It's very important to put capitals in the right places. Generally, each word will have a capital at the start of it, or sometimes the first word is lowercase, and then every other subsequent word after that has got a capital or camel case. Okay. So make sure the capitals are in the right place, like I just made a mistake. Make sure they're all in the right place like that, okay? So what we've done there is we've set up the function declarations at the top, and now we're just going to make quickly the structure. So we're going to use all of these, okay? So the first one is int main, as it would be for each of them. So it should be set up like that. So this is going to be the main function, or where the project goes to within the startup. So it's going to run from this main function. Okay, so we've got int main, and then we've got curly brackets, and then we've got nipple brackets, open and close like that, and then inside here is the code block of where we're going to type. Okay, so it's going to look something like that. So it's just within that code block. So we'll put underneath here, we'll just put some little comments to say what it does. Main function for game setup logic. That's the main function. Okay, so that's going on down. We're literally going to go through each one of these and set it up like that. Okay, so we could just save a bit of time. Just copy that over. And we know we have to set this set of functions up now. Okay, so the first one, we've got void display grid. So again, what this does is it's a function to display grid to the user. So that's what it does. So you'll see the semicolon there. Let's get rid of that, and then put nipple brackets underneath. Like that. So we've set it up exactly how we like it. Then we've got void display input, which is the next one down. And again, what this basically does is it displays the input options and current player to the user. Input. So it does that. So get rid of the semicolon again. Break it down to the next function. So you see we're just setting up the structure of the functions here. And you also notice that these green lines are disappearing. That's because we're making the function boxes. So we've got the next one, which is fill squares, which goes down. So again, it takes the row and column of the square to fill. So takes the row. So you'll see that this has got inside here, it's got an argument within the brackets, unlike these ones. What this is doing is it's saying it needs a value when it's finished. So we'll explain this a bit more as we go along. But that's basically saying when we finish this, we need a row and we need a column. Okay, so we need that information given to us. Again, nipple brackets. Next, we've got check input. Okay, nipple brackets set up. We keep the structure dead simple like that, and then you'll find it easy when we start to type it out later on. So this checks the input from the user. Again, nipple bracket. So checks the status of the game and works out winners, losers, draws, etc. So this is the check status. What that basically is going to do is going to, every time someone has a go, it checks the status of the game and works it out from there. And then finally, we've got init or initialize, and basically what this function is doing is it's going to reset the grid with spaces rather than having characters like X and 0 in them, and then it's going to go back to player 1 and ready for a new game. So it's going to reset everything as we go along. So we'll get rid of that semicolon. Make sure you get rid of the semicolons when we're going through this, because otherwise, basically what a semicolon is at the end of the statement, it stops that statement from happening. So if we've got a semicolon here, when it gets to that point there, it won't go down to this bit because it doesn't understand what it is. So you'll generally find, like, another quick thing is when that is red underline like that, it says it expected a declaration, but generally it's not that's the issue. It's generally the thing before it, because it's not got to that point. So that's red underlined, that semicolon, we'll just get rid of it like that. Okay, so again, this is a function to reset the grid and reset to player 1. Good. So we'll just quickly check, make sure it's all set up nice and neatly. Keeping stuff dead neat within programming is very important, because it's just easy to read. Like, you could do all of this on one line. You don't have to do it set up like this. You could go all the way across and just keep typing and typing and typing. But it's just not. It just wouldn't work the same. So it's not. It won't be readable by anyone. So we've got some include files. We've got some function prototypes set up there. Then we've got a setup of each of the main functions we're going to use, and then we're ready to go with the programming. So hopefully you followed along quite well with that. The next videos are going to start to look at the different functions, setting up the main, and then from that we should be getting cracking and creating the Noughts and Crosses game. Thanks for listening. Bye.